It sound right, boy.
Hi, everybody. Welcome in to Talking Town, your Sunday evening edition. Lee, it was a day of celebration yesterday as we beat Coventry 3-0. Not so much so in the Lambert household today because Martin is unwell. So me and Lee have cobbled the show together. We're going to look back on yesterday's fantastic win. Lee, you've got a new recruit in your studio there, haven't you? New microphone. Hopefully coming across loud and clear to everybody.
I feel a bit like Ricky Martin or something like that, having a little bit of a sing-song,
Yes.
or I don't know. So I guess I'm talking a load of nonsense in stereo. So
we met up with Lee yesterday and he wanted to take the microphone because you got like an hour and a half to get back to Lowestoft or whatever you were telling us. So you wanted to take it into the stadium with you, but we wondered whether or not it could be seen as a weapon. So you decided to pick it up at the end of the game instead.
Well, yeah,
shot onto the pitch.
Absolutely, I'd have probably I could have chucked it on the pitch. I remember my getting a bag searched, and the security guard wasn't happy that she had a bottle of perfume in there. And I remember my wife going, "What's wrong? You know, it's a bottle of perfume." And she said, "Well, you can throw it at somebody, or you can use it as a flame. What flamethrower?" I thought, 120 quid a bottle. There's no way I'm allowing her to set fire to somebody with it. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly
it's just like mad.
Exactly mad. That. It used to be you couldn't take the tops off the bottles. Remember, they used to take the tops off the bottles. You couldn't take the bottle top into the seat.
Yeah,
is that still a thing?
I don't think so now because they're stuck, aren't they? So I think you have to take them in. But I used to take one in, so I would take one in hidden in my back pocket. So when they used to take the lid off, and you got given your Coke, I'd walk up the steps, get to my seat, and then put a lid on that I'd taken in with me.
Honestly, sneaky tactics from Lee Anderson there.
Just experience.
Exactly. Rarely I will buy a drink at Pullman Road, and this is a tea, given the inflated prices. But anyway, enough of that. You're coming across brilliantly in stereo. And, we met up with Martin yesterday, didn't we, in the car park? We were umming and ahhing about what the result might be. We saw Big Dave. He came in. Big shout, Big Dave. He thought it might be 2-2. I thought we might be able to sneak a 2-1. Martin actually said 3-1, didn't he? What was your thoughts going into the game yesterday, Lee? What was you thinking?
Yeah, I remember meeting at the car, didn't I? And I reminisce back to the old days when we played Portsmouth one Easter weekend, and they were running away with the league, and we were that sort of. I think we're a bit like that, almost similar to the team where we are at the moment in terms of inconsistency. At that great side under Royal where we would, attack and such like. Perhaps we're not as flamboyant at the moment as we were then, but it just felt like that game where if Ipswich turned up on the day, they could really turn them over. And we actually won 3-0 that day, if I remember rightly. Here
it is. Martin has remembered it. It's written in the stars to win 3-0 today. That was the direct quote. You've had your moment in the spotlight there, Lee. You've had your moment in the spotlight.
Yeah. So I just felt that. I mean, I've said it before. Sometimes you feel like, I feel like with our team at the moment that you look at the league, I'll say it's competitive. Martin will say it's rubbish, but it's competitive. Coventry is standing out because they've had that good run, but the rest of the league is like, at the moment, it's pretty much the same, but it is really about us. And I think on our day with the players, and quite rightly, because of the money that we've spent, if we get it right on our day, then I'm not sure that many teams can live with us in terms of the game over 90 minutes. And I guess we'll come on to that because I thought after about an hour, Coventry really started to, particularly off the ball, they started to tire a little bit. They still looked dangerous on the ball, but they started to drift away from the game slightly. Nunes started getting more space. So I think really it really is about us. It really is. It's not, there's no one that we should fear, but it really is about us getting the teams right and playing our football and staying in it for 90 minutes. And I think we stayed in the game first half. It wasn't, we didn't dominate the first half. It was pretty cagey. And I watched the first half back earlier on, and I got to half time and I thought, you know what, we've hung in here, but Coventry looked really, really decent. You can see why they're top of the league. You know, they're a really good, solid Championship side, and they defended really well. We didn't move the ball quick enough a lot of the times. But actually, watching the first half back, it wasn't as one-sided as I thought when I was in the stadium.
Okay. Reminds me of when you said you still hadn't seen a side that you thought would finish above us in the table this season. Now you've seen Coventry, the league leaders, no one above them other than the Premier League. What are your thoughts now before we actually get into the deep dive of the game?
So we've seen Coventry now, and we've seen Middlesbrough. So I don't see Middlesbrough obviously catchable, but you've got to think about, you know, it's getting to the point now where it's a bit, there's maths involved here. And to catch Coventry after such a good start, I think they've got enough, you know, to make up, 12 points still, something like that. That's that's a 4-game swing. So I think there's enough about Coventry at the moment to suggest that making 12 points up at this stage of the season would be really difficult. But second place is certainly up for grabs. Now that's no disrespect to Middlesbrough, but you've got to catch one at a time. And I feel that we've got that opportunity. Looking down slightly below us, it's still much too much. There's still much too much between the teams.
I love how Millwall were in third on -2 goal difference.
Well,
pushing for automatic promotion with a minus goal difference. It's a bit of a crazy one, that, isn't it? I think we're like you rightly say, we're in fourth at the moment. Coventry top with 43. We sit in there on 31. Borough are second on 36. But I never think when teams are competing for automatic promotion, 5 points, because you're always trying to pick up those 3 points as much as you can, or 4 points across the 2 games. It's not much of a window, is it? You go back into the relegation spot. I think where your teams aren't winning, 5, 6, 7 points can become quite a gap, can't it? Because you never are chalking up those 3 points. So the game's come thick and fastly. Obviously, we've got Stoke on Wednesday, so another opportunity there. But I agree with you. Before on the fact that I do think Borough certainly are catchable. We've had a couple of donations come in. Fantastic. Stephen Peck, $1.99. Big shout out there. We've had one. I always say, Lee, you're turning into a global superstar. We've had one coming from New Zealand in Chris McTaggart, 10 New Zealand dollars. Good morning from Queenstown, New Zealand. What a statement win. Well, let's get into the game then, Lee. And as we know, there was going to be changes. It's either 4, 5 or 6 changes generally, and it was 5 yesterday. Furlong came in for Ashley Young. Egley came in for McAteer. In came Nunes and the 10. In came Jaden, and in came George Hurst. So, I mean, probably predictable, would you say, given we've got Stoke on Wednesday?
I think if you're looking back at the previous games, I'm not sure that McKenna always looks at. Well, maybe I'm wrong, but he might select teams for each game, and he's looking few games ahead all the time.
Yeah,
I just wonder. I wonder if, looking at it now, that if you were going to put your mortgage, which I wouldn't with McKenna, on a best 11, we're not too far away with the squad that we've got at the moment, as that being the best 11. The 2 places I would say might be up for grabs would be Kipri and Greaves, and also Cajuste and Taylor, depending on the tactics and what we're trying to play. So I think that's he's engineered it to be our best 11 for the biggest game of the season so far in terms of who we're playing against. And I think you can see that sometimes when you look at the bench and you think, who's coming off the bench to improve what we've already got? And the subs were a little bit later yesterday. And that happens when McKenna, I think, has what he thinks for the day or whatever is his better 11. And yes, of course, there's players that can come on and make a difference. But, you know, Clark can obviously come on. I think he's really like for like with Philogene. On the flip side, for the other positions, Nunes is our best number 10 at the moment because he's more creative. That's without doubt. And he showed that yesterday, particularly second half. And I think Egley, you've just got to keep playing. He's like Omari. You've just got to keep playing him, and he's just getting better. I mean, he scored 2 goals in 45 minutes of football because he scored right at the end of injury time, and he scored another goal again. And I think the way he celebrated the goal yesterday just feels like he's arrived. He's here. The way he slid in. I know the other night was a bad performance. He scored the equaliser, but he's edging everybody back. Let's get back. Let's get back. Let's try and, almost like let's score another goal. But it just felt, the goal yesterday just felt like he'd really arrived on the scene. The way he celebrated the whole sphere around that. So I think, looking at the like the centre backs, the way Sims played yesterday, really big, and he gave our two centre backs a torrid time that at some point. And I thought maybe Greaves would have been better up against him because he's just slightly bigger. But Kipper, Kipper had a great game. I don't get me wrong, but we couldn't get the ball off. We couldn't get the ball off Sims. Sims was pretty much winning everything when it was going forward to him. And I think that was the tail.
He looks big. He looks a lot bigger than George Hurst in that 9 position, doesn't he, Sims?
Yeah. What was one of the games earlier? Was it Derby? What was the game earlier where the ex-Norwich lad, a big lump of a striker, they were playing off him? Was that Derby?
I think it was Derby. Colton Morris, was it?
Yeah. And, and I think sometimes when you play a lone striker, to get up the pitch, you need that sort of focal point. And I'm not. And first half yesterday, when you look back at the game, it was quite even, but you would say majority of possession went to Coventry in terms of getting up the pitch. But when you look at it, they got stuff off Sims, so the ball was coming into Sims, and he was winning, and they were connecting off him. If you watch the game back with Hurst, first half particularly, he was getting outnumbered, and we couldn't make that connection into Hurst and then get up the pitch. So every time it was trying to go in, there was 4 or 5 occasions, you go back and count them, where the ball was trying to go into Hurst, but it was bouncing off him, and then they were winning the ball back. And I think that was really the difference in the first half, that we didn't have that. It was going into Hurst and we weren't keeping the ball, and it was coming back at us. And I think that was the problem. But on the positive side, we hung in there, we kept resolute in defence, and, we took our opportunity when it came.
Yeah. They had good chances, actually, didn't they, Coventry? I mean, everyone sort of forgets about these now. We've kept a clean sheet and won 3-0. And it looks a fairly routine win for us. But, I mean, the first one was that Mason Clark, who was at 10. They got from Peterborough. Good player, again, well built. Stocky in that 10 role. Sends that crossover. I thought he was going to score this. Kessler Hayden comes in from the right-hand side. 3 in the box, wasn't he, for the header? I thought, oh, God, we're going to go one down.
Oh, that one. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
He hit it a miles wide.
Yeah, it was right in front of me. I'm looking down on that. And, you see the free header. But you're thinking, if he just gets it under the bar across the goal, Walton's going the wrong way. That's just gliding into the far side. But he's sort of got under it a little bit, perhaps, and it's gone over. But I mean, it was a I guess a key moment. And sometimes in the tight games, you've got to roll with those, and you've got to accept that teams are going to make chances. But he's still got to score it, and he didn't.
Yeah, exactly that. They obviously had the second chance was Eccles. We'll come to him in just a second. But Josh Eccles hits that shot on the edge of the box. Walton got the strong hand to it onto the post and to safety. Again, that was. I mean, look, it easily we found ourselves 2-0 down here. But that was a great save. I mean, we were chatting after the game with everyone, and I think it was Colin said to me he felt that was just as important a save as what Walton did at Swansea. He scooped that onto the post as well, didn't he? It ran across the line. Matasiwa got that to safety. Luckily, I mean, this one didn't go back in towards the penalty spot, did it? But a really good save. And I think seconds later, he then stuck the rebound over the bar, didn't he, Walton? So, I mean,
we should have caught the second one. Quickly. Muric would have caught the second one.
Yeah. Volleyed it out.
Sorry, a bit tongue-in-cheek. Yeah. I think with the, that was what a fantastic save. Going the wrong way, low. I mean, it wasn't right in the corner, but it was well struck. It was, through the crowd. Yeah. And Walton's got down and he's got a hand onto it. And, it could have bounced anywhere, but he's got a strong hand. It's coming off the post and it's fallen kindly for us because it's gone out almost to the side, almost for a throw-in type thing, and it's gone away from the goal. But you can't. I agree with Colin. You can't take. It's a goal, isn't it? It's almost like a goal, and it was a key moment, and it was such a fantastic save that on another day that goes in, and then I think with the way Coventry play, because we'll come on to how the game panned out, that would have made it really difficult. I mean, the fact that he's kept us in the game and we've stayed in the game, and I think that's a really key point of yesterday, particularly first half, because Coventry sagged after about an hour. They really did, and we'll talk
went 2 up.
Well, just a bit before, and even a bit before then. But first half, if we go a goal down, then I think we're really, really struggling against it. And the first goal for us is key because of the way we play, because we want the possession football and we want teams to come out and play against us. But I thought Coventry were really excellent first half. They were structured really well, made it difficult for us. But really, as I said, it was down to Hurst not being the ball bouncing off Hurst because he was being marked by two players most of the time.
Yeah. We'll come to Eccles now because Hurst obviously went through, didn't he? 1-on-1 with the keeper and shot wide, given offside.
Yeah.
Frank Lampard got the raging up about this because right at the very start of the game, wasn't it? Eccles there was something had happened and Eccles hit a shot, goes into the north stand. He got a yellow, didn't he, for kicking the ball away? Hurst was already on this yellow when he goes through and got called for offside. He does know that the whistle's gone because he checks his run and shoots anyway. And Lampard after the game said that he should have got a second yellow. And we can look at this with blue tinted glasses and go, no, he shouldn't. He probably should have done, really. I think the referee gave him the benefit of the doubt, given that he was through with a shot, rather than Eccles sort of on the edge of the box, deliberately just kicking the ball into the stand. I think because he was in that running motion, I think he got the benefit of the doubt for the shot. But I could see what Lampard was saying. Could you?
Oh, well, look, you've already been booked. You've seen another player get booked for kicking the ball away. The last thing you need to do is kick the ball away. And I think what saved him, if you look back at the replay, the referee gets in his earpiece and goes to the linesman. And the linesman says, "Oh, he's probably not heard it, or it's all in the motion." But he clearly checks his run and then bashes it away.
He does.
Difference. There is a slight difference. And I'm not taking away the fact that if he'd have been sent off, you could have. There's no way that any of us could ever have said it shouldn't have been sent off. So he was right. It's a fine line, but the Eccles one was more petulant. It was more petulant because the ball was where the foul had taken place, and he's kicked it into the stand. The fact that Hurst was 20 yards away from where the offence was taking place, it doesn't make it right, but there is a slight difference to it. And as you say, he was running onto the ball. And I guess this is where football is great, isn't it? Because we can all sit down in the pub and lick our wounds and say, "Oh, well, referee did this, referee did that." But Eccles was lucky to be on the pitch because Eccles was booked and he's done a blatant dive. There's no question. I watched it back before I come on here. It's a blatant dive. And he could be sent off as well. So these little decisions go for and against you. But I don't think you've got to. I think if you're a manager, you can say, yes, there's an inconsistency. But I think you've got to be a bit, savvy about how the game panned out and what happened. I don't think Lampard was, because he doesn't like to lose sort of thing. But he questioned the decision, solely blame that decision on the 3-0 defeat. I don't think, not like the Blackburn manager who comes out with a list of problems. He's a white man and I'll get him in.
Oh, no. Valerian.
Yeah. So I think, so I think there. I mean, it's not about balancing it out. Easily Hurst could have been sent off. There's no doubt. And how that then pans out. Hurst gets sent off. Some of the fans are on his back. That's almost like that moment. How the influence of a referee's decision can just change a game and change someone's career. I don't know if that was that grand, but and then he goes on to score second half after missing a chance. So yeah, lucky. He's a lucky boy. He could have gone the other way easily.
It could have done. You're quite right. Talking of Blackburn, of course, their game was abandoned yesterday, wasn't it?
Oh, don't. We're driving home, and my lad gets on the phone, and I'm just, I mean, if you're a script writer for EastEnders, you couldn't write it, could you? You couldn't put it into a script. It's just absolutely, well,
laughable.
I mean, they need fining of some sort, and I think when you look back at it now, and our fans, I didn't go, but our fans that travelled twice, Blackburn should pay for their travel without doubt, and they should either refund or give Sheffield Wednesday fans free travel to the next game. That's without doubt, because a team that's won the Premier League, a team that's in the Championship, you can't be getting waterlogged pitches like that. You can't be.
No, exactly.
Even if you're up in there.
Understand it lower down, can't you? You can understand it even in the non-leagues or something, or League Two, but yeah, not at this level. Upper Town says Ewood Park. Not sure if it's rain or tears from the fans. Craig from Winchester says Blackburn shouldn't be allowed to buy any players next summer until they've invested in a new playing service.
Well, it's got to be something like that, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It has to be. I mean, we paid $7 million for Sammy Smodics 2 years ago, and you can lay a picture, and you can lay a picture £1 million. But obviously, looking at their finances, they're probably on the cusp of having to balance the books. So I guess it's difficult, but you've got to invest in the pitch. I'm not sure the pitch money. I think you can invest in the structure outside fair play. Maybe I'm wrong. Perhaps someone in the chat can tell us. But you think, well, it's going to be highlighted now. They're going to have to do something about that pitch. This
is normally the Gov's wheelhouse, talking about financial fair play and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, someone who hadn't played very well at Blackburn or either at Oxford actually had a big moment in our opening goal in Matasiwa. And I know Crunch had been on BBC Suffolk with Graham Mack and was sort of saying, are we missing Morsey in the middle of the park because Matasiwa hadn't played very well in these two games. But he wins a very good 50-50 ball, doesn't he? That he nudges out to Jaden after we had that little run of 2 free corners, didn't we, down their end?
Yeah.
Matasiwa wins that 50-50, sends it out to Jaden. Ball comes in. Kipre loves to get forward, doesn't he? Does an air kick.
Well,
it goes he'd have broken the back of the net if he'd connected. Air kicks it, goes to Egley. I think he did a little 1-2 or something with O'Shea. It set up Leif Davis, who was still on the right-hand side from the original corner. Cross came back in, like bloody pinball wizard this. Back to Jaden, edge of the box, and Egley, in Connor Chaplin-esque fashion, swept the ball home from the edge of the box, didn't he? And as you rightly said, he scores with the last kick of the game at Ewood on in the week, Tuesday, and then 2-2 with this one. Great knee slide down by the tunnel. I've been saying, Lee, that Egley and McAteer's stats have been pretty much on par. There's a comparison there. But in the last week now, Egley's moved himself away. He's having moments. 2-2, as you rightly said earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just going back to the goal, I mean, it was a bit frantic, and I know Lampard was sort of bemoaning it from their point of view. But yeah, there was the air kick. And then Egley could have shot, but it seemed to fall to his right foot, and he played Davis in, didn't he? And I can remember sitting in the stand and I thought the ball had gone out because Davis had hit it so bizarrely that it sort of looped, almost as if it had taken a deflection somewhere.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
and then Philogene brings it under control. But what a nice controlled pass on a good pitch, where he can then just put his foot through the ball. And it was Chaplin. It reminded me of Chaplin's goal against Bournemouth last season. That sort of cut across the goalkeeper.
Mike D saying it was like Amari's v Spurs as well last season. Yeah, similar hallmarks to both.
Yeah, and you can see why McKenna likes his wingers coming in off inside. So you play your left foot on the right, and you play your right foot on the left as such. Or if you've got people who can use both feet. But you can see why, because when the ball comes from the left to right, if you're left-footed, it's into your path to be able to just swing through the ball. Although that doesn't do it really justice, because it was a great finish. But if he's right-footed, he's got to let that ball come across his body and take a touch, and then he's closed down. So you can see how they've worked it. So yeah, I mean, just a great finish. And as I said earlier, the celebration just felt like, I'm here now, guys. I'm here now, and I'm gonna get better and better. And he did look a threat cutting in on his left foot. And I think you can see Furlong. I mean, I said a couple of weeks ago, what does he bring? He's not getting forward, but he's starting to get a little bit more cavalier. You can see the connections looking better. That when Agali comes in on the inside, you can see Furlong starting to go down the outside, because those crosses from the byline generally are going to come from the fullback because he's right-footed. So that's the combination there. And yeah, great goal, great time to score, great celebration. And if you look at it, not necessarily against the runner play, but it was a big moment. We got our chance, took it. We talked about the chances earlier where Walton makes a save. They didn't take theirs, and that's the fine margin sometimes.
This. You've read my mind here. Sid Cup 1-4-2-1. This is the next question, really. Sid Cup says, I think he can play as a 10. He's got good control, and obviously we say it was very Chaplin-esque in the finish, in and around the box, where obviously Connor used to kind of patrol when we were last in the Championship. Do you think Aguilera could play in that 10 league? Because Wes Burns is close to returning, isn't he? He's played for the 21s, albeit he got a slight cut, didn't he? I think, and had to come off at half time. We feel like maybe that he was going to be subbed at half time anyway, just to get 45 minutes under his belt. But soon you're going to have Egley, McAteer, and a returning Wes on that right hand side. And there's been a question mark on the 10 this season, isn't there? With numerous faces in there. And Smodic's returned yesterday, of course. Maybe Egley could play in now. What do you think?
He can on it. Has he not had 10 minutes there already this season? Wasn't there a game where we had some subs and he moved into the middle? I'm sure there was a game, because I thought about it. Yes, of course, when you're that talented, you could put him anywhere. But I think when you're a young player and you're coming into the physicality of the Championship, you're stepping up. The sideline is your friend, because you haven't got anybody behind you. So if you're playing wide on the right, everything's in front of you. The game's in front of you. The roles are completely different, because in the 10 role, you've sometimes got your back to goal in the centre of the pitch, and you've got people coming up behind you trying to get the ball off you. So it is a different role. And I think one step at a time. If he was pushed to play it, yes, but he's not. Unless Nunez, Akpom, he's your next choice. He's the fourth choice at the moment, I would say, in terms of how the squad is at the moment. Can he be better than others? Yes, maybe. But I don't see him starting there at the moment. I think McKenna's going to keep him on the right-hand side, particularly for the most of this season.
Especially as he's now scoring goals in that position. Rob Smith makes a very good point. Of course, Norway finished above Italy in World Cup qualifying, have made the tournament. Helps when you've got Haaland scoring the goals for you. Maybe Egley's looking at I think he's had one appearance maybe for Norway seniors. Maybe he's got an eye on maybe the World Cup squad. I mean, he have a good second half of the season going into 26, into the run down to the summer, countdown to the summer. He might have a chance. It was a great time to score for Ipswich, wasn't it, Lee? Because 43rd minute, we always say, you score right on the cusp of half time. That changes everybody's team talks, doesn't it? Suddenly McKenna's going in with one up, and Lampard's suddenly having to change his because he thought they were going to go in at 0-0. Yeah,
and I think if you listen to so there's a real key point here, and you listen to Lampard's interview, and he says just what you've just, obviously from a commentary point of view, and he said, look, you're going at half time. He said you could feel the edge around the crowd. You could feel it, and you can build on that and use that as a real positive to say, look, we're grinding them down here. The fans are getting disgruntled, and I don't think as fans we always realise what impact we're having on the game. So when you want it to be hostile. Hostile is different to apathy, in my view. And if you start moaning at your own players, all you're getting as the away team is, well, we're getting it here, we're getting it. If we just keep the ball, out of play for another couple of minutes and slow things down, they're going to get even worse, and that's going to give you confidence. So it really, you can't underestimate how the atmosphere makes a difference in a game of football. It really does. Not necessarily for the home team, but for the away team. You know, to give them confidence that they're doing the right thing. Because one of the team tactics always is, isn't it? You know, quieten the crowd. You know, do this, do that. But to be fair, and I want to make this point before I forget, what a game of football it was yesterday. Easy for us to say because it was 3-0. But what an advert for the Championship. Two teams, not hardly any rolling around, no time wasting, trying to get the ball in play most of the time. You know, you can see Coventry first half a little bit slower at times, but they're away from home. But really, what an advert for football, and where they got the 5 minutes from second half. I mean, I don't think the physio was even on the pitch at all. There was a couple of people falling on the floor, but they got back up.
Like
no rolling. You know, what we said at the start of the season, where a goalkeeper who's not involved in the play goes down holding his bloody hamstring, and he's not even involved in the play. You know, that sort of rubbish nonsense. So fair play to the two teams yesterday. Proper game of football. No messing about. Bit of controversy. A bit of moaning about the referee. It's what we love about football. It's what football's about.
Certainly in the Football League, anyway. Certainly in the Football League. I mean, we were saying, weren't we? Like, it might, like when you were saying that you thought we might win 3-0 and you were spot on the money, because we knew Coventry were going to come and play football against us. And that, I think, does play into a team like Ipswich, you know, on that pitch, at home. I know we're flattered to deceive in some of these games, certainly earlier in the season at Portman Road. But, you know, when we do get into that fifth gear, like against Sheffield United, like against Norwich City, we're very hard to beat, I think, at Portman Road. And Coventry found that out yesterday. It's when we go to Oxford and Blackburn, where you've got sides sort of sitting behind the ball, the low block, as the hipsters like to call it, and then sending the ball over the top. You know, what we did yesterday, really, on the counter-attack to beat us, which is exactly what Oxford did. That's where Ipswich need to do their work, I think, Lee. A team like Coventry will come and play football against us. Well, you saw the result yesterday, didn't you? 3-0.
Yeah. I think, I mean, you can talk about pitches, you've got to adapt your professionals, but Blackburn play to their pitch almost. If you're going to like you know, and Oxford again, and that's not. There's more than one way to play football. I'm not knocking the way they play the game. But we've got to be better, and we've got to realise that a little bit more. So perhaps we get a little bit gun ho. But yeah, it was an open game, but it was a cagey game. Still, it was still a game of chess first half. You know, and I think we've had this in the Championship before, a couple of years ago, but particularly in League One, where you've got to remember the games for 90 minutes. And I think, as I said, after an hour, the game, particularly out of possession, the space opened up even more. I mean, Nunes got much more space second half. He didn't get that first half because of the structure of how the game was, and it was cagey. And, you know, we weren't great shakes in possession, but I bet if you ask Kieran McKenna, he would say that we were fantastic off the ball. And when you talk about performance, I've said this before, you can't just we always think about performance when we've got the ball, but sometimes you've got to think about your performance when you haven't got it. Give respect to the opposition, particularly Coventry, because they're as good as what we faced all season. And we didn't concede. We kept in the game, and our bench is stronger than their bench. I think maybe apart from two players, maybe Radoni and maybe Simzo, he's on form at the moment. I can't name anybody that would get in our team. Seriously, I'm not. Pardon?
Not Wolfenden?
No, but we couldn't get him before, could he? We couldn't get him before. But you know,
it's gone from our bench to their bench.
He has. He's not got in, but I guess there's not so much politics. So.
Well, yeah, we can only presume that, can't we?
I see Greaves was giving him a bit of banter, I think, when they were warming up on the side yesterday. There was a bit going on. But.
Yeah. So we're going to the break 1-0 up, Lee. McKenna said at half time it was just a case of taking a breath, reaffirming that we were going to go for the second goal. We can't sit back on this. We actually need to be braver, more confident on the ball, and that would be key, as well as defending well to us going and getting the win. Well, I mean, Hurst had a really good chance in the second half, didn't he, when Kipre put that lovely through ball in. I keep saying this week in week out, the ball at Kipre's feet, he's got really good touch. Reminds me kind of like a Titus Bramble-esque. I mean, in his build and being able to come forward with the ball and, either having a shot himself, which we saw at Blackburn in a week, or setting up one of our players. It was a great through ball, wasn't it? Hurst done fantastically well, didn't he? The desire for him to try and win that. Because he's not the quickest, really, is he? But I think the desire to win that ball and get one-on-one with the keeper propelled him past them two Coventry defenders. It was just, he telegraphed his shot a little bit, didn't he? He was never going to go to the keeper's right-hand side, was he? He was always going to go to the left, and it proved to be a bit of a tame effort in the end. But even though he didn't score it, it was great that he carved that opportunity out, because I think the desire to win that ball was what got him there in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, he's quick enough, and he was quicker enough against, I think if you have a straight sprint, he's quicker than them two centre-backs.
Yeah.
And I think what happened, so again, I'm looking right across over the goal as he comes in. And if you go back to strikers back in the day, you watch someone like Ian Wright, the way he could really open his body up.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at when Hurst takes that shot, where he side foots it and the goalie just goes down, he's not got his body open enough where he can really get enough power on it. So he's exactly a bit upright with it. It would be my, I'm not going to coach a professional footballer, but you can see, I can see it anyway. But I mean, he's running a bit straight. He's running a bit square onto the goal. He's running a bit, and it matters for the second one because he's in the middle of the goal. So that's different. And I think when you're not around there, he's playing across the goalkeeper. Sometimes with those ones, you've got to open your body up and then knock it near post up in the air, because the goalkeeper's going to his left. If he hits that right, and it's easy to say in hindsight, but you've got to know in your body if you're in the right position. And I think if he's not, then he's got to hit that near post, and he's got to hit it high near post. And I think he scores.
Yeah,
easy said than done. Two defenders bearing down on you, 30,000 people in the stadium baying for blood. It's not easy. It's not easy. But you just felt, again, with the noise around him, you're thinking, he really needed to step up there. But of course, we're going to come on to it in a minute, I guess.
Yep, we will do. What do you think of that Cole Rushworth? Because we, as their keeper, because we got linked to him, didn't we? I think when we come out of League One, maybe into the Championship, and there was, Walton had the injury, didn't he? Was Haladki going to be the number one after Walton got injured in that Luton pre-season game? And I think Rushworth's name was mentioned. I think it was that season. Would you say he's any better than the Christian Walton that you've seen, or Alex Palmer?
It's one of those games where he didn't Walton made better saves than him, because
he certainly did.
Walton made the saves. Yeah. Could he be at fault for any of the goals? Absolutely not. He wasn't at fault for any of them. He looked really young. He didn't look. It didn't feel like he was imposing enough for me. I think when we had our corners, free kicks, and that, I know Walton comes from and he gets the odd one wrong. Yeah, but it just didn't. It didn't feel. He still like he was still a young goalkeeper, still development, and maybe in 2 or 3 years, he's going to get better as time goes by. But I wouldn't say that I would go out and spend money on him to improve what we've already got.
Yeah, okay, it's interesting. I liked how his gloves matched their away shirts, color coordinated.
Yeah, I didn't.
It's that the kind of little things I like to notice. Like talking to keepers.
Yeah,
I was going to say talking to keepers in between that chance and the Hurst goal. Walton had a funny moment, didn't he? Ball was on the edge of the box, kind of scooped it just on the line. Maybe he was unlucky.
No, he was well out. He was both feet were outside. Both feet were outside. Because
referee had a very good view.
I had a really good view. I had a really good view, and we almost sit on the edge of the 18-yard box, and he's well out. He's miles out. I think I've never understand the rule. I think if your feet are in the box and you reach out, is that okay, or have you actually got to be able to? The ball's actually got to be inside. I'm not sure exactly what the rule is.
Got to be inside the box, I think.
Well, the ball was out and he was out, so everything was out, and he's got like 6 arms. So I'm not sure how that's a red card, because I don't think that was a goal scoring opportunity.
He'd have to be on a yellow already in order for that to be a red, wouldn't it?
Because I know
a second yellow.
Yeah, I know some of the Coventry fans on the socials are saying we could have had 2 reds, but I'm guessing
they wanted us down to 9 men.
Well, I'm guessing he's talking. I guess they're talking about that particular incident, but I'm not sure how
Yeah,
you can
would have been.
send him off that down that corner. But yeah, I mean, it was halfway down the 18-yard box, and the and the referees let them take that another 3 or 4 yards up the side of the 18-yard box, where he can really whip a
It was
a
Eccles
ball
again,
into the
wasn't it?
far post, and
Yeah.
it was miles away from where Walton was out of the box. But hey,
We got away with one there. Kipre ended up in the net, actually, didn't he? I'm surprised the net didn't break. He went flying in into the corner of the net, didn't he?
Was it Kipri? To see from the other end, but I mean, they got too much on it, and we weathered those. We weathered those moments. On another day, they could do more with it, but yeah, we weathered it. He's overcooked it. He's gone high, and it's gone out.
Exactly
they've
that.
got a bit more quality.
You were talking about the hour mark where you thought Coventry started to fade a little bit, and Hurst puts us 2 up on the hour mark. You mentioned him earlier. Nunez, loads of space, puts the through ball through to Hurst, who starts his run from our half, thus being onside. Did you think having missed the first one, did you think he was going to do the same, or were you confident he scored? I mean, it was actually a very good finish, this one. It was a level above the miss, wasn't it? Great control. He's got to try and keep his pace. Rushworth coming out towards him, and he slotted it to Rushworth's left, didn't he? A great finish. And it kind of like, even though it's half hour to go, Lee, it felt like Town was well in control at this point, didn't it, to go 2-0 up?
Yeah, I think where the goal was good, well, I mean, there's so much about it, really. I mean, he's running through at pace. Once he's got the turn, I mean, the 2 defenders starting position, they were 2 yards inside our half.
It's a high line.
I mean, why? But you have a high line, play a high line, but only play it from your half. You don't play a high line from the opposition half, because they can stand behind you. You can't be offside in the opposition. I'm sorry, you can't be offside from your own half. So I think that was poor positioning from the centre backs. But we took, Nunez gets the ball. They're starting to tire around that time. He's getting more space. He didn't have that much time to pick a pass. And at no time really much in the first half did Hurst look to get behind. But of course, with the starting position, he can look to get behind, because he can start, because he's in his own half. He starts to run in his own half, gets to run on the defenders. There's a great ball in, and as he gets towards the edge of the box, he just goes to his right-hand side. And if a defender touches him, it's a red card. And as he goes in to shoot, so the goalkeeper does that sort of, waits for that moment and then does a sort of rush. If you watch it back, I think they're coached to do that. But what Hurst does well is he gets it off the ground, because if he keeps it on the ground, the goalkeeper saves it with his left foot. And I think from memory, he's got enough on it where he's got it between the goalkeeper's left leg and the left and the hand, and he's put it in that gap. And it's a really good finish. But again, because he's bearing down on the middle of the goal, his body shape's good for that type of shot. It really is good for that type of shot. And he takes it really well. And you think, I can remember it vividly, and I'm thinking he's running. You've got to score, mate. You've got to score, because you've got to score. And he did. And fair play to him. And very interesting that after the game he does the, he does the fist pump. I think he's one of those that McKenna referenced in the pre-match interview. Him and McAteer, I think, and Hurst is a little bit on social media, or his missus will be, and he'll see some of the stuff. And I think making him go up and take the 3, the fist pump is a confidence booster for him.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. I mean, it's just great to see Hurst, Nunez, should I say, putting that through ball on a sixpence for him, really. Because if you look at our midfield, I don't know, the last 2 or 3 seasons, maybe, we never really had that, have we? That clipped ball. It's like a golf shot, isn't it? Around the edge of the green. So it's a little clipped ball in, which Nunez does fantastically well, which is not really in the skill set of when we had Morsey here. And Kuste doesn't really do that either. I just think that lovely clip pass in there, it just sets Hurst up beautifully, doesn't it? And whether he takes the chance or not is another thing. But to create those chances and going into the game, we'd created, I think, just as many chances as Coventry, even though they've got double our goal difference. I think we're plus 14 now. They're plus 29. We've been creating the chances, but, like Hadji Wright, Thomas Asante, Ellis Sims, we just haven't, we haven't got goal scorers like them. And then they've stacked up some numbers this season, but you've got someone like Nunes clipping that through, Lee, and you give yourself a great opportunity, don't you?
Well, he's done that. Yeah, absolutely. And he's done that. And I think that's why, he's a utility player, whether he's brought in to play the number 10.
Yeah, I'm not sure he was, to be honest.
But he can, when he's asked to drop back, he's almost like an American football quarterback, where he's clipping those Hail Marys. And he's the only one, as you're right, he's the only one really from the midfield that has got that with he can do it more often than not. I'm not saying the others can't do it, but if you're going to want anybody to clip that ball in, you're going to want it to be him. I mean, he played Davis in the Hail Mary for the goal at Blackburn, which I still think Davis. Yeah. I think if we hadn't scored there, then that was a foul on Davis, and we should have got a penalty. I mean, we haven't. I don't know, that's been discussed, but he's played that. He's played that in there. He played Azon in at Norwich. I mean, although any of us could have played that one in because of how open they were, but he's still not overhit it. How many times do you see the pass getting over here? And again, yesterday, another great pass. And Nunes was fantastic second half. You give him a bit of space, the game opens up, which was my fear. I was looking at half time thinking, have we wasted Nunes because of how tight the game was? But he kept him on, and he was blowing out his backside when Smodics came on. But because of the rotation, you can get, when it really matters. I know every game matters, but when it really mattered, he could blow him out on the pitch and look,
that move started, of course, with that O'Shea header while he was sitting on the floor. That's a great skill in itself, isn't it? A diving header whilst actually being on the floor at the same time. I think goes straight to Nunes, and that's what started the move, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we had several breaks before that as well, didn't we? No, sorry, we'll probably come on to it after. Yeah, there was several breaks, wasn't there, towards the end? And you'll get before we scored, there was 2 or 3 real big breaks, wasn't there, on 3-on-3 and stuff.
There was one, wasn't there, when Nunes was out on the right hand side, and he did a first time pass, didn't he, to try and set up whoever it was, maybe a Jack Clark and co on the left hand side of the box after they'd come on. He had loads of time to actually have just carried the ball on into the box, maybe had a shot himself or tee someone up. It was a kind of like, we're 2 up, we might as well just have a bit of a showboat moment to see if we can make it free. I think. I remember that one. There was 2 people at the back. There was 2 running in, wasn't there? Clark and somebody else running in. Might be an Evan. Yeah.
Yeah, there was 2 of them, and he's tried to pick them. He's tried to pick them out, but you think in the context of the game, he could have took a bit more. But that, I think that's the X factor that he gives you. You don't really want him doing that sort of stuff in front of the back 4. But when he's further up the pitch, when he's in the final third, you want that flair. You want him to do the pass that is more of a quarterback, the Hail Mary, or something different to just a standard routine pass. And how many years have we said, particularly in the Championship and League One, that we pass the ball around too much, we're too robotic. But you've got someone like Nunes in that number 10 that can thread a different ball and do something slightly different. And I mean, great to see. And his link up with Agali, I've mentioned it before, they just seem to be in tune. And do you know what? The celebration after Agali's goal, have you seen the ITV? Where Agali says, I don't think he even knows my name. He just calls me Haaland. And they'd rehearsed so I think those connections you talk about, McKenna talks about it a lot on and off the pitch. When those 2 play together and we're on the counter attack, they look pretty they're looking tasty to me, those 2.
Yeah.
Let's keep 2 really good together.
2 really huge signings for us, weren't they, in that sort of start of the season? And let's hope as we get into 2026, they click even more. So you said earlier we made some late subs, which we did, didn't we? Cahuste, Ivan and Clark came on in the 71st minute. And Ivan finally got his first goal at Portman Road for the want of trying, and he's beat the post a few times, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Again, a great finish, really. He was unselfish, wasn't he? Because Smodics obviously comes on in the 90th minute. Someone else who hasn't scored at Portman Road yet either, despite being with Town for a season plus, got all his goals in the Premier League, didn't he, away from home? He unselfishly tried to set him up, didn't he, for the tap in on the penalty spot. Ball came straight back to Ivan. And actually, when you talk about opening up your body, Ian Wright style, and finding that bottom corner, he actually did that perfectly, did he? And fair play to him.
Yeah. What's the saying? He used the defender, but the goalkeeper probably had sight of it. But he goes running through, and I can't remember who passed. It was Jack Clark, wasn't it? Clark had a really good run. And, when you talk about bringing subs on, and someone like him, when you've got a tire in defence and you've got someone fresh to come on like him to be able to run on the counter-attack when you're winning the game.
Yeah.
It's easy to, we didn't sit back, and I think the difference this season to other seasons, we look, when we've got the ball and we're ahead of, and we're in the lead, we look much more dangerous to go on and get another goal. I think so. And I've noticed it this season many a times. It's almost been like Charge of the Light Brigade for those who are old enough to remember it, where he was just bombing forward, before I don't think we had the players to do that as much. And we're seeing that. And we're seeing that now. And Clark picks up a great ball. And if you watch it back, the way Azon spins, so Clark picks the ball up, and as he starts to drive past the midfielder, defender, whatever it was, he spins off to his right and comes round in an arc and pulls away. And it's just really, really, really intelligent play. And of course, there's all the space, and he's played in. And as you say, he tries the ball. The ball could have either gone a bit more towards the 6-yard box to Smodics, or it could have gone back a little bit further, because I can't remember who was running on. There was somebody running on as well. And it went to the defender, and it comes back to him. He composes himself, opens his body, just curls a lovely, lovely shot into the bottom corner. And, a great goal. Great goal. Three really good goals to watch and see from our point of view.
That Ivan goal yesterday reminded me of when me and Martin, first of all, Martin interviewed the Real Zaragoza fan who came in and gave us a bit of the lowdown on what kind of player Ivan was. A lot of his goals were actually scored on that left-hand side in a similar fashion. So even though he plays centrally, I think he's quite comfortable being on the left side of the box and hitting it across the keeper or to the nearer post, maybe. That seems to be maybe the sweet spot for him. Big question, of course, Lee, now is, as we look ahead to Stoke, with Hurst out, suspended because of the yellow, just the yellow, not the red. Who are you going to play in the 9? I mean, it feels like it should be Ivan, shouldn't it? Finishes the scores in the 95th minute yesterday. Do we start him in the 9, or are you thinking of he's better off the bench, impact player, and you start Chuba in the 9 instead? That's a conundrum for McKenna, isn't it, for Wednesday night? I
think personally that it depends on whether or not you think we're going to have a lot of possession. If he thinks Stoke are going to hold back a little bit and they're going to play a low block, I think if that's the phrase, I think it's more suited to Azon. So I think he's a little bit better in the box.
Yeah.
I think if you're playing counter-attack stuff, you can play Akpom. So I would expect Azon to start, I would think, on that. I think when Akpom's come on in other games away from home, it's needed a different type of striker. And I think Azon is and Akpom, they're slightly different, aren't they? So you can see why McKenna, maybe away from home on the other games, has wanted Akpom to come in. I would be surprised if it's not Azon, but
we have to wait and see. Yeah. We want Chuba to score, don't we? Because you're seeing like Hurst getting confidence with the goal he scores yesterday. Ivan finally scores at Portman Road. We want Chuba to have a moment, because you don't know, that'll open the floodgates for him, and suddenly he becomes a different player, because people have been frustrated by him, Lee, haven't they? Including ourselves. But we're desperate for him to do well as well.
Yeah, I think the way I look at it is that, we've got 2 championship Golden Boot winners, but they're not both going to be Golden Boot winners in the same season.
No, exactly.
Because they're not both going to score 25, 30 goals. And they need to score more. But if the goals are going around the team and the team are benefiting, then it doesn't matter where they're coming from. But individually, of course, you want to contribute, as anybody would in any walk of life. you don't want to, it is all about the team. But if you're a forward, you want to score. If you're a defender, you want to keep a clean sheet. And I just feel that Akpom probably, now he's scored that goal, he wants to, he's probably chomping the bit as always to get one at home. And I think the same for McAteer as well. I think once there's key contributions to the game, I think people feel a little bit better about themselves, and the longer it goes on, the more difficult it is. But I would say Azon would start on Tuesday. It's whether or not, it'd be interesting to see what he does with the rest of the team. You're not going to change the rest of the team. Well, who knows?
Who knows? Who knows?
I mean, it's Wednesday, and the reason why I think he might stick with the rest of the team the same is because it's Saturday, Wednesday, not Saturday, Tuesday. So there's 24 hours, 24 hours after the game. So I think, he's talked about connections and he's talked about building as a team. I think, going back to what we said earlier, he's put his best team out. That's almost maybe his starting 11 if he had to put his house on it. And I wonder if, given that we've got a Wednesday night, he'll pick the same side.
Yes, it's a rare for Ipswich to be playing at Pullman Road on a Wednesday, isn't it? Who was your man of the match yesterday, League? I mean, because you'd struggle, wouldn't you, after Blackburn and Oxford, to say who the man of the match was yesterday? But I mean, we were chatting in the Black Horse after the game yesterday with some of the Talking Town crew. We were saying there was multiple people. It could have been Walton for those first half saves. Kipray was fantastic in the defence and unlucky not to get an assist with the through ball to Hurst. Matasiwa, I thought, was great in the middle against Eccles and Matt Grimes, who is a good player. Grimes, captain of Coventry, someone I thought would have been a good fall for Morsey after we got promoted out of League One into the Championship. Jaden, George, ITFC bed, said to us in the pub, he really liked Jaden's defensive work yesterday. He actually won the most tackles in the game, Jaden.
Yeah.
6,
I think that's where he starts. I think that's why he gets the nod ahead of Clark on the bigger games sometimes. I think that's big. I think Clark's game is getting better, and of course he tackles and he's tenacious as well. But I think Jaden just slightly edges it on that defensive work.
Yeah,
it is a key. And it is a key. It is a key point. And but there's not hardly anything in it. We're blessed with. We're blessed with 2 starters in any other team. Those 2 will get in any other team in the Championship.
But Nunes got it in the stadium. Did you agree with that yesterday, or was you thinking any of those other names I just mentioned there were in
Do you know what? It's really difficult to pick it, and I want to give a shout out to Leif Davis. What bombing up and down that touchline, even at 2-0, he's still bombing down the left hand side. But I don't think it's. I think it's really difficult. But for key moments in. The player that gave the biggest key moments in the game for me would have been Walton. So he makes the save 2 saves the first half, and then he makes the save at 2-0, which we haven't discussed. Was it Radoni's where he's
Radoni's shot, yes.
Yeah, and he's made another really
very good save.
A really top save. Because I don't think I think the first save, I don't think what's the name's getting it. Because name's gone up my head. I'll go. Our goalie. Palmer. Sorry, was got it. I don't think Palmer saves. I don't think Palmer saves that.
You did not.
I don't think he saves that. Right. No, I think that type of save. I think Walton's a little bit better. I think Palmer's a little more steadier all round, perhaps. Oh, but I'm not sure he gets that, because we see some goals go in last season that went under him. And would have gone, and I'm not sure. So maybe I'm wrong, but yeah. So really hard to get a man of the match. You could probably give it to 5 or 6 of them, really.
Yeah, Nunes got it in the stadium, of course, didn't he? Probably for the very reasons we've been chatting here. What are you doing when Palmer does return, Lee? Because I think he's back training. So it seems to me that McKenna's going to have a decision to make sooner rather than later on this, isn't he? I mean, Walton's actually not done anything, has he, to warrant being dropped from the side? It's just. Is he now seen as the number 2 and Palmer comes in automatically as the one when fit? What do you do in the comments, everybody? Tell us.
Yeah, I think the way McKenna looks at it is a number 1, number 2. what we've got is two goalkeepers that are very close. Normally in a squad, and this is where we're really fortunate. We've got, normally you would have a goalkeeper, and Button would be your backup goal in a normal, with a normal squad with less funding that we have. Button would be your backup goalkeeper, and there'd be a difference. There would be a clear difference in ability in terms of how old Button now is. That's not disrespectful to him, but you would have a clear number one. We haven't got that, and I think McKenna with his goalkeepers, and he'll probably, and I'll probably live to regret what I'm going to say, but I think he'll stick with Walton, because when Walton got us out of League One, and then Hadlaki, Walton gets injured, and Hadlaki comes in the Championship, and he plays all season. He plays all season, and I think with goalkeeper, it's slightly different. Yeah, I think Walton. I think Walton will stay in the team. I really do.
Okay.
But
watch this space. Who knows?
Watch this space. Oh, I'm about to be But that given his history of how he's picked his goalkeepers, I'd be surprised if he changes him.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting to know. We're going to finish now, everyone. We've done an hour here, Lee. Time flies, doesn't it, when you've won 3-0 against the league leaders? Time really does fly. We've got to be confident at going into the Stoke game on Wednesday, haven't we? I mean, they've only won one of their last 5 games. They lost to Coventry 1-0, lost to Leicester 2-1. They beat Charlton 3-0. They lost to Hull 2-1. They got absolutely drummed yesterday by Sheffield United 4-0, which was a surprising result. Before we go, there was a mad stat I saw. I can't find it at the moment. But I think Sheffield United, even though they've been down at the bottom of the table all season, if you look at the teams that's generated the most corners this season in the Football League, it's them by about 40 corners beyond everyone else.
Wow. They just need a corner coach. They just need a set piece coach like us.
Mark Hudson, get him in. But I think we're playing them at a good time, right? I mean, like I say, 1 win in 5, last 2 defeats, and Ipswich buoyant after yesterday, Lee.
Yeah, look, we've got the squad, haven't we? And big churn. It's now going to start to come to the fore. I think the rotation. I know we talked about rotation and that, and I jumped on after the show yesterday when I picked my microphone up, put my head round, and just sort of laughed and sort of said, Coventry were slowed down after an hour, and our rotation, we had fresher players. We've got the bench. That does give you an advantage. It gives you a clear advantage. And I think when you look at the rest of the table, there's 3 from where we are. There's about 3 points all the way down to 15th or 16th, something like that. So it's really much. It's really much the much. It's a game that if we're on our day and we take our chances, you would think that we would win. But this is the Championship, and it's unpredictable. And I just, you would hope for a win, but it's not going to. It's going to be a game where, if the game panned out the same way for the first 40 minutes till we scored, and it's Stoke, will the natives get restless because it's a team that we're expected to win? We're expected to beat. So it's all about expectation, I think, sometimes in terms of that. But yeah, let's bring it on. Let's see how we go. Yeah, another 3 points, because we've got a few away games in, haven't we? We've got a bit of a tricky.
Leicester's coming up, isn't it? Leicester on the Saturday.
Tricky run.
That'll be a tricky one. We never seem to go well there, do we? Hopefully McAteer can come to the forefront. Your new microphone's got a shout out from Macca for Ipswich, Lee. Nice podcast today, fellas. Thanks, Macca. I'm loving the new microphone, Lee.
He's not seen it. He's seen it.
Big shout out for that. Right. We're going to finish there, I think. Just so everybody knows, FA Cup 3rd round draw is tomorrow, Lee. The 3rd round ties, I think, is January the 10th. The draw is going to be on TNT tomorrow around 6:40 with Joe Cole, Peter Crouch. If you haven't got TNT, you can watch it live on TNT's YouTube channel. I was hoping my local team, Lee, Chelmsford, would get through to the 3rd round, because we played them, a game Colin went to back in January 73. Wow. Beat them 3-1. I think it's the only time we've ever played them in a competitive game. So I was hoping they'd get through, but they got beaten 2-0 by Western Supermare. So that isn't going to happen. But let's see who Town get. Maybe we'll get one of them Premier League sides back down Portland Road again, Lee. We'll have to wait.
Home side. Anyway. Just a home tie would be great. A home tie, because there'll be a lot of fans that can't get to games, maybe, and that we can get other players, other people can watch the games. I'd be interested to see how much if we got home tie, how much the stand would be open and what the interest would be. Because normally the earlier rounds, it's not, we used to just open the bottom tiers, didn't we?
Exactly. Yeah, we used to.
But,
yeah.
yeah,
We had a good thing against Crystal Rovers, didn't we, last season, I think, from memory. But I mean, look, when Ashton talks about having 6,000 people on waiting lists wanting to come and see games, presumably it'd be like £10, hopefully, will be the ticket price. That's a great time to be, if you can't get there week to week for the championship games, to come to one of those.
Yeah.
All right. I think we'll leave it there, Lee. Thanks for your time. Hope you enjoyed the show, everybody. I think Gov's going to be back tomorrow for a show. Watch this space. We'll see how he is. He may well see me again. Who knows, Lee? Could be us two again. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, enjoy the rest of your evening, everybody. Town on the march. 3-0 win over the league leaders. Sets us all up for Stoke on Wednesday. See you all soon.
You've reached the end. Thank you so much for watching. Hit here to subscribe. It's totally free. And hit here for more Talking Town videos. I'll see you on the next one.